next case is 210-12, in which there was a marked patrol car in front of Plaza del Sol, the building in which my office is located, and the long-term planning committee is held. And the complainant alleged that it was improper for the officer to be parked there, and that the officer's temporary tag had been expired. The officer was in conducting, and I reviewed the complainant did not wish to be orally interviewed by our investigator, so I did not review his interview, but I did review the complaint filed. I also reviewed the videotape of the incident, as well as the officer's lapel camera, and an interview with the officer. I found that the officer conducted herself in a professional manner, and that her parking of where she was appropriate, so that I found that with respect to conduct the SOP that says officers conduct themselves both on and off duty in a manner to reflect most favorably on the department, that the officer's conduct should be exonerated with respect to this allegation. Then, as discussed at length earlier this evening, there is the SOP that requires that officers to have a G plate, and when to report to the fleet services manager to obtain a G plate. This officer did report to the fleet services manager and comply with the requirements of the SOP to do so, but as outlined in the letter, at that time, the Motor Vehicle Division in Santa Fe was experiencing extreme backlog in issuing of plates to government vehicles, because they issue plates to vehicles throughout the state. And at that time, the only temporary tags that were permitted were issued by the dealer when the car was sold. And then there was so this temporary tag on this new car was expired at the time. Since then, the Albuquerque Police Department, and especially Deputy Chief Macario Page, has worked with the Motor Vehicle Division in Santa Fe to resolve issues of APD having expired temporary tags. And now that APD is, the Motor Vehicle Division in Santa Fe, a state agency, has permitted APD to print, have access to the terminal that prints temporary tags. So no new police vehicles should not have that problem. I found that the officer to comply with the SOP in contacting the fleet manager to receive her G plate, and that her conduct should be exonerated. I asked you, and the chain of command has reviewed this as well, and obviously they've taken actions in response to the CPC, and I asked you to adopt the letter as written.
I move the adoption of CPC 210-12. Is there a second? Commissioner Peterson. Discussion. Commissioner Siegel.
Thank you. I hope I'm not too late in making the comment. This case again brings up a question of whether I ought to recuse myself. I've just had a sidebar with our attorney. I think I need not, and I therefore will not recuse myself from this case. Let me state emphatically, I have not discussed the case with the complainant in any way, and I don't feel biased in any way about deciding the case. So saying, I'm going to move along and ask a question about the meat of the case, if I might, Mr. Chairman.
Sure.
My only question is this: if you can explain to us a little bit, the incident occurred on September 27th. The complaint was received October 29th of 2012. Can you explain to us why it took a little over a year to get that complaint determined and brought to our attention?
There was a period of time, as I explained previously, when back in September of 2012, when all of the CPCs were asked to be rescinded as far as anything that was in the chain of command. And while this may have occurred, came in a week or two after that date, that the actions of the POC directing the IRO to change every letter that was in process and all future letters drafted to the department and to the commission, through the department and to the commission, has created a backlog of several months. Once this case was sent to the department, it became aware that the department wanted to take action on it, and several months, if you will. I don't know exactly how long, but the department worked with MVD to accomplish the remedies which were outlined in the letter. So my draft letter, as submitted first to the department, was altered to reflect the work that the department did, which was over a period of months with MVD. As I think many of you would have personal experience with MVD, nothing happens overnight. So while there are many letters that I wish were done quicker, and it's just the way it is. And in this letter in particular, there was work being done with respect to the issues raised.
Thank you. I'm satisfied with that answer.
Okay. Anyone else? Commissioner Peterson.
Much like the similar cases earlier, I guess my concern is that I don't believe in this particular case Officer S should be held accountable for this. I mean, the complaint appears to be against Officer S and violating SOP. I think the situation is just that, a situation that fortunately I believe has been remedied by this, which is a good thing. But I don't personally feel that Officer S should have a mark against her because of this situation. That's my statement.
Anyone else? All right, are we ready to vote? All in favor of approving 210-12, please raise your right hand. It is unanimous.